All right, guys, this is Normal Central coming back at you with another YouTube video, and I really do appreciate all the love and the support so far that I've had on my YouTube channel. I know this is about my fifth or sixth day recording in a row, so I'm super excited to see how this season is going to play out for Florida State, and I hope my YouTube channel continues to flourish and develop into a positive Florida State community that everyone can enjoy. But I just want to talk about one quick topic that Florida State fans have been talking about on my social media pages. Is Danny Kannell talking about his prediction for Florida State for the upcoming 2026 season? So the biggest thing I factor into is the fact that he said that Florida State was going to go 8-4 this season. And when you look at that prediction, you're looking at Florida State being 7-17 in their last 2 years. So they haven't even eclipsed the 8 win mark to those 2 years. What makes you think that they're going to be some sort of spectacular turnaround for this upcoming 2026 season? And I really look at it as in the factor of Mike Norvell is playing for his job at this point. He is doing offensive play calling. They have an experienced quarterback in Ashton Daniels. And you've heard this before. Thomas Castellanos is an experienced quarterback. DJ Uyunglele was an experienced quarterback, and they didn't get the job done. Transfer market is there, and that's the risk that you're going to have to take with these transfer portal quarterbacks. Now, obviously, they're banking on the 2 game sample size of the Vanderbilt as well as the Alabama games. And, when you have over 800 total yards, 5 touchdowns, you're able to run the ball efficiently. I think that that gets a lot of fans exciting. But the problem is what are you going to do with the other pieces that you have on the offensive side of the ball? Deuce Robinson is a great talent that you're going to have this season. He's coming back for a senior season and maybe even back for another year with the 5-for-5 rule. But then you look at Usman Chroma, another guy at the running back position, Trey Wisner, another 1,000-yard rusher in the SEC. I think that there's a lot of pieces that Florida State can kind of lean their hats on, but I just wonder what's going to happen with Florida State going forward. And are they going to be able to respond to that adversity that Danny Kannell is talking about? So, in Danny Kannell's YouTube video that he recently did with CBS Sports, he also had Colby Crawford as well on Noles 24/7 that was also in the video with him as well. But he looked at Alabama being a loss. He looked at Louisville being a loss. He looked at Miami, and then he looked at also Pitt. And the biggest thing I factor into that is Florida State has lost 4 road games if that was the case. They lose at Alabama, at Louisville, at Miami, and then at Pitt. And I think about it as Florida State has not won a road game since November of 2023 against their matchup with Florida. That is a big, disaster in terms of what Florida State can do. And I remember when Bobby was going out in his first of his coaching career and just playing whoever he wants, playing the toughest of the tough and winning those road matchups. This is what Florida State's basically thrived themselves on. And when you look at it now, you're seeing a Florida State team that can't win on the road. And they have some tough road games this year. Like you said, they have the at Alabama, the at Louisville, the at Miami, the at Boston College, and the at Pittsburgh. Really, the only road game he has us winning this year is at Boston College. And I definitely don't think he's quite off of what his prediction is. Now, obviously, the home games are going to help. You're going to have a Doak Campbell Stadium that hopefully is going to have a little more excitement. And I think it starts off with SMU. I think this a Randy Pittman revenge game. You're going to have Kevin Jennings, a quarterback for them. It's going to be an exciting matchup. Standalone game on ESPN, 7:30 kickoff. It's just going to be one of those games where Florida State's got to be able to win. And you look at even the 2021 matchup where it looked like we were overmatched a little bit more, but we still were able to come through and force them to overtime at the very end with Mackenzie Milton. But I just wonder how Florida State's going to be able to factor this in. And I kind of want to share my thoughts on some of this as well because I don't really want to put out a projected schedule release just yet because I do think that the record prediction will have to come out after the summer and after we kind of see some factors in. But I could definitely see us losing at Alabama. I mean, it's a game that they want to circle on their calendars, a revenge game. It's at Tuscaloosa. It's an ABC game. It's not even a night game at that point either. It's just the middle of the day at 2:30, at 3:30 Eastern time as well. And then you look at guys like Central Arkansas, they're not going to be much of a competitive streak if Florida State's able to get the job done there. Virginia at home, I think it's going to be a better environment for us. We're not having to play them on the road either. And then at Louisville, you look at the last, basically since the last 20 years, we're 3-2 at Louisville, wherever this stadium is called nowadays. I know it used to be called Papa John's Stadium, but looking at that environment on a Friday night game, I know Florida State fans wanted to see that game at least be a Saturday, or something like that. They don't ever want to see these nasty weekend game or weekday games. But the ACC is just going to continue to hate, and they're just going to continue to love Florida State and being able to have those in those primetime slots. But then you look at Miami, I think it might be a little bit more difficult because of the talent deficiency that they might have between Florida State and Florida or Florida State and Miami. I think it's just a big talent gap right now, and Miami's definitely getting the upper edge. And I never thought I would say that in terms of being competitive at the championship level. Then you look at Clemson. We have not beaten them. We've only beaten them once since 2014 in 2023. And you look at the factors that go into it, and it just seems like if you're able to factor in what Florida State's done so far, and we should have beaten them in 2016. Now, obviously, the chop block was kind of ridiculous, but I do think that Florida State can be able to get the job done. But the problem is, history is not kind to Florida State. Even though Clemson is offering and welcoming in a new quarterback after Cade Klubnik went to the NFL draft, I just wonder how Florida State's going to be able to respond to that on a November maybe, or in October, excuse me, on Halloween night. I wonder how Florida State's going to be able to respond in what could be another night game. Then you got at Boston College. Florida State's never really struggled in that regard, except for that one wonky looking gear. Usually, if they don't have a red bandana game, usually it should be fine for Florida State. And then you go at Pitt, who Mason Heinschel is a very good quarterback. I just wonder how they're going to factor all that in, having to play on a Friday night game, a shortened week after the Boston College game. You're going back-to-back road games. You're on ESPN. I just wonder how the nation is going to look at Florida State by this point. Will it be just a lost cause, or will it be something that's going to be special? Then you look at NC State at home. We typically play them well at home, but the problem is CJ Bailey is the dynamic quarterback that I think Florida State might have some issues stopping like they did last year. But they only were able to score 21 points last year. So I just wonder what Florida State's going to do there. And then Florida, it's really a crapshoot with them. You really don't know what to expect. You don't know what the end of the year is going to be looking like for Florida State and Florida. With the new coach and John Summerall for them, I wonder what Florida State's going to be able to do there on a Black Friday, 3:30 kickoff. ABC, and I just think Florida State could have the upper advantage. But by that time in game number 12, you really don't know what's going to factor into it. So really the only factors of, losing to Alabama, losing to Louisville, losing to Miami, and then losing to Pitt, the only one I would probably change in terms of that would be going to changing the Louisville and Clemson game. I think you stand a better chance than you do at Louisville. I know we don't win road games very often nowadays, but I do think you could have a better chance against a Louisville than you would a Clemson. I think Dabo's kind of got your number at this point. I wonder what Dabo's team is going to be this year. But I do think that that could probably be two games that you switch and still have that 8-4 record. Maybe winning one more road game would probably make the fan base a little bit more excited. Now losing two in a row and probably losing your three of your last four in terms of if you lost to Pitt probably wouldn't be the best ideal moment for Florida State fans. But if you're able to finish 8-4, I think this fan base would not really be excited because 8-4 should never be the standard at Florida State, but I do think it should be a step in the right direction to hopefully get into that double-digit seed or double-digit season in terms of 2027 and what you want from this program to be a consistent championship contender. But I really appreciate all the love and support on this video. I hope that you continue to check out my social media accounts as we go through Instagram account, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, everything that I have right now. I'm trying to get out a positive community for Florida State fans to enjoy. Be sure to leave a comment to what you think Florida State season could be this year. And as always, go Noles.